Right now, you are doing something no other creature on Earth fully understands. You are turning air into meaning. You push breath through a narrow tube in your throat, shape it with your tongue and lips, and another mind across the room receives a thought that originated inside your head. That is one of the most bizarre things in the known universe. And yet, you do it thousands of times a day without a second thought. But language did not begin with words. It began with something far older, far stranger, and far more desperate. And once you understand what actually triggered the birth of human language, you will never hear a conversation the same way again. For most of the 20th century, scientists believed language evolved because it made humans smarter. Bigger brains, more complex thoughts, more complex sounds. A clean line from grunting ape to eloquent human. Simple, satisfying, wrong. Anatomically modern humans existed for roughly 150,000 years before there is any solid evidence of complex symbolic behavior. Then, around 70,000 years ago, something exploded. Cave paintings, jewelry, long-distance trade networks, all appearing with sudden, almost suspicious speed. Something flipped a switch. And the leading candidate is not bigger brains. The switch was language itself. Robin Dunbar, an evolutionary psychologist at Oxford, spent decades studying why primates groom each other obsessively for hours. His answer reshaped everything. Grooming is social glue. It builds trust. It says, without words, I am safe with you. But grooming only works one-on-one. As primate groups grew larger, that became a serious problem. Language, Dunbar proposed, was vocal grooming. It let early humans bond with multiple individuals simultaneously. You could tell a story to 10 people at once, build trust across an entire group without touching anyone. This became known as the social brain hypothesis, and it changes everything about why you talk. You do not talk primarily to share information, you talk to bond. Think about the last real conversation you had. How much of it was factual? How much was something else entirely? Checking in, venting, laughing. Research suggests roughly 65% of human conversation is social grooming. Gossip, personal updates, feelings. Not data, connection. Your mouth is, in evolutionary terms, a grooming tool. Then there is the hyoid bone. You have one right now, floating at the base of your tongue. It anchors the muscles that give you precise control over speech. In 1989, researchers found a 60,000-year-old hyoid in a cave in Israel, belonging to a Neanderthal, shaped almost identically to yours. Neanderthals may have had something like language, and then they vanished, while your ancestors did not. Language may have been a survival advantage so powerful that its absence was extinction. Daniel Everett, a linguist who spent decades with the Piraha people of the Amazon, found a language with no numbers, no colors, no creation myth. The simplest human language ever documented. And yet it still does the core thing. It builds a shared reality between people who need to survive together. Language is not a feature your brain developed. It is a pressure your social life created. And here is the twist. You do not just use language to communicate, you use it to think. Psychologist Lev Vygotsky noticed that young children narrate everything they do out loud as they play and solve problems. He called this private speech. He argued it was not childish habit. It was the mechanism by which social language becomes internal thought. You did not learn to think and then learn to talk. You learned to talk, and that gave you the architecture to think in the way you now take for granted. The voice in your head is vocal. Grooming turned inward. Right now, the same biological machinery that let a small group of humans build trust across a campfire, warn each other, mourn the dead by speaking their names aloud. That machinery is running inside your skull. You are using it to receive a thought from someone not in the room. You started talking because you needed to survive with other people, and without knowing it, you never stopped.